We've all heard the saying, "You are what you think," and while it might sound like a simple cliché, there is a profound truth to it. Our thoughts shape our perceptions of the world, our emotional responses, and the actions we take. Every single thought we have influences our reality, from the smallest passing judgment to the most profound, life-changing decisions. But what happens when our thoughts are overwhelmingly negative? What happens when they trap us in a cycle of self-doubt and helplessness? This is the essence of being a victim of your own thinking. The power of thought is undeniable, but when we fall into patterns of negative or self-defeating thinking, it can be incredibly damaging. You may not realize it, but your thoughts might be creating a prison, and the key to your freedom lies in breaking that cycle. Thoughts are powerful, shaping our perceptions, emotions, and actions. The way we think dictates the way we experience life. Our thoughts are the lens through which we interpret everything around us. When we think negatively, we perceive the world through a darker, more pessimistic filter. This affects our emotional state, triggering feelings of sadness, anger, or frustration. Over time, negative thoughts can influence our actions, leading us to make decisions rooted in fear or avoidance. For example, imagine you make a mistake at work. If you are prone to negative thinking, you might immediately label yourself as incompetent or unworthy. This self-critical thought feeds your emotions, causing anxiety or shame, and because your emotional state has shifted, your actions might follow suit. You may start avoiding challenges, missing opportunities to grow, or even sabotaging your own progress. But it's not just about how you interpret external events. It's also how your thoughts shape your inner world. Your beliefs about yourself, others, and the world at large are all influenced by your thinking patterns. These beliefs guide your behavior and determine how you show up in relationships, in your career, and in your life in general. The negativity bias. Our brains are wired to focus on the negative. One of the reasons we often find ourselves trapped in negative thinking is due to a biological factor known as the negativity bias. Our brains are hardwired to pay more attention to negative experiences than positive ones. This evolutionary adaptation helped our ancestors survive in dangerous environments, as focusing on threats and risks was essential for survival. However, in modern life, this bias can work against us. It causes us to focus on mistakes, failures, and problems, while brushing aside successes, joys, and moments of peace. For instance, if you receive 10 compliments and 1 piece of criticism in a day, your brain is more likely to dwell on the criticism, even though the positive feedback vastly outweighs it. This bias can create a loop of negative thinking where we constantly replay our perceived failures and shortcomings, reinforcing feelings of victimhood. The ripple effect. Negative thinking can create a vicious cycle. The negativity bias doesn't just influence how we view the present moment, it can also shape our future. Negative thinking can create a vicious cycle where our perception of the world becomes more pessimistic, leading us to make choices that reinforce those beliefs. This cycle of negative thinking feeds itself, trapping us in a loop that feels impossible to break free from. For example, imagine someone who consistently thinks, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed." These thoughts don't just stay in the mind, they affect how they approach opportunities. This person might avoid trying new things, settle for less than they deserve, or sabotage their own progress because they've already convinced themselves they'll fail. The result, a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the individual's negative thinking leads to outcomes that align with their beliefs. The impact of this cycle is profound. It not only affects the way we view ourselves, but also the way we relate to the world and others. When we adopt a victim mentality, we begin to see the world as something that happens to us, rather than something we can actively engage with and influence. We start feeling powerless, unable to change our circumstances, which only reinforces our sense of being trapped. This is just the beginning of understanding how our thinking shapes our reality. In the next section, we will explore how to identify the signs of a victim mentality and recognize when you may be falling into negative thinking patterns. But for now, take a moment to reflect on how your thoughts might be influencing your life. Are you a victim of your own thinking, or are you actively shaping your reality with intention and mindfulness? Stay with me as we dive deeper into this topic. We all have moments when we feel down, overwhelmed, or frustrated. Life can be challenging, and it's natural to experience periods of stress or sadness. However, the key difference between feeling temporarily upset and falling into a victim mentality is how long those negative patterns persist and how deeply they affect our actions and decisions. So, how can you identify if you're trapped in a cycle of victim thinking? Let's look at some of the most common traits and behaviors associated with the victim mentality, and more importantly, how to recognize them in your own thinking. Blaming external factors. One of the most prominent features of a victim mentality is the tendency to blame external factors for our problems. This might involve pointing fingers at others, at circumstances, or at the world at large, instead of taking responsibility for your role in the situation. For instance, if you experience failure, you might say things like, "It's because of my boss," or "the economy is too bad to succeed," or "everyone else gets lucky, but I never do." While it's true that external factors can influence our lives, constantly attributing your struggles to them takes away your personal power and agency. It keeps you stuck in a mindset where you feel like things are happening to you, rather than for you, or where you feel powerless to change your situation. When you shift from externalizing the blame to taking ownership of your actions and thoughts, you begin to open up new possibilities for growth and change. This doesn't mean denying that external circumstances play a role, but it does mean recognizing where you have the ability to act and create a different outcome. Feeling powerless. Another key indicator of victim thinking is feeling powerless or helpless in the face of adversity. When you perceive yourself as being incapable of influencing your circumstances, you fall into a victim mentality. You begin to feel like the world is a place where things happen to you without any control over the outcome. This sense of powerlessness can manifest in many ways. You might feel like you can't improve your financial situation, or that you have no control over your emotional responses. You might believe that no matter how hard you try, things will never change, or that the world is inherently unfair. The truth is, while you can't control everything that happens to you, you always have the power to choose how you respond. You can choose your attitude, your beliefs, and your actions. This recognition is empowering. It's the first step in breaking free from victimhood. Focusing on the negative victim mentality often involves a consistent focus on the negative. You might catch yourself dwelling on setbacks, misfortunes, or things that went wrong, while ignoring or dismissing your successes, strengths, or the opportunities you do have. This can lead to a distorted perception of reality, where the negatives are magnified and the positives are minimized or even completely overlooked. Over time, this mindset can reinforce feelings of helplessness and despair, as your brain becomes conditioned to focus only on what's going wrong. For example, after a difficult day at work, you might ruminate on everything that went wrong, replaying the mistakes or awkward moments over and over in your head. In doing so, you miss out on the small victories of the day. Perhaps you completed a major project, had a meaningful conversation with a colleague, or learned something valuable in the process. These wins are drowned out by the negative focus, leaving you stuck in a cycle of self-criticism. How to identify and break free. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in breaking free from a victim mentality. Take some time to observe your thoughts. Do you frequently blame others or external circumstances for your problems? Do you feel like you have little control over your life? Are you often fixated on what's going wrong, ignoring the positive aspects of your situation? Once you've identified these patterns, the next step is to begin shifting your mindset. This requires both self-awareness and the willingness to challenge your default thinking habits. It's not about denying that bad things happen, but rather choosing to shift your perspective so that you're no longer trapped in negativity. In the next section, we'll discuss how to shift your perspective and begin taking action to break free from victim thinking. We'll explore powerful techniques such as challenging negative thoughts, practicing gratitude, and reframing setbacks as opportunities for growth. This process can transform your mindset and set you on the path to a more empowered and intentional life. Once you've identified that you're caught in the cycle of victim thinking, the next step is to shift your perspective. This isn't a quick fix or a simple change. It's a process of training your mind to see situations in a new light. Shifting your perspective allows you to break free from the cycle of negativity and reclaim your power over your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Let's look at 3 key ways to make this shift. Challenge your negative thoughts. The first step in shifting your perspective is to challenge your negative thoughts. Our minds can be quick to latch onto negative thinking, often distorting reality in ways that make problems feel insurmountable. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, whether about yourself, your situation, or others, pause and ask yourself, is this thought really true? For example, if you think, I'm not good enough, challenge it by looking for evidence that contradicts this belief. Think about times when you've succeeded, when you've received positive feedback, or when you've overcome challenges. Your negative thought isn't necessarily a reflection of reality. It's a reflection of your current mindset, and it can be changed with conscious effort. As you challenge these negative thoughts, try to replace them with more balanced or even positive alternatives. Instead of thinking, I always fail, reframe it to, I may not have succeeded this time, but I can learn from this and do better next time. This process doesn't mean ignoring difficulties, but rather refusing to let them define you or dictate your future. Practice gratitude. One of the most effective ways to shift your thinking from victimhood to empowerment is to practice gratitude. When you're stuck in negative thinking, it's easy to overlook the positive things in your life. You may be so focused on what's wrong or what's missing that you forget to appreciate what's going well. Practicing gratitude brings your attention back to the good things in your life, helping you to develop a more balanced and optimistic perspective. Start by identifying at least 3 things you're grateful for each day. They can be big or small. Perhaps you're grateful for your health, a supportive friend, or even a delicious meal. Focusing on these positive aspects helps to counterbalance the negative thoughts that may be dominating your mind. The more consistently you practice gratitude, the more you train your brain to focus on what's going right. Over time, this shift in focus can rewire your thinking patterns and improve your emotional well-being. It's a simple yet powerful practice that can help you break free from the victim mentality. Reframe setbacks as opportunities for growth. One of the most powerful tools in shifting your perspective is reframing setbacks. Instead of viewing challenges as insurmountable obstacles or evidence of failure, learn to see them as opportunities for growth and learning. Life is full of ups and downs, and setbacks are an inevitable part of the journey. However, how you interpret those setbacks can make all the difference. For example, if you don't get the job you applied for, instead of seeing it as a personal failure, ask yourself what you can learn from the experience. Perhaps it's an opportunity to refine your skills, to network with others in the field, or to reflect on what you truly want in your career. Every setback is an opportunity to grow, adapt, and improve. This mindset shift is key to breaking free From the victim mentality, when you view challenges as opportunities, you regain a sense of control over your circumstances. You stop seeing yourself as a passive victim and start recognizing your ability to respond, adapt, and evolve. Shifting. Your perspective isn't something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process of changing how you perceive and react to the world around you. But by consistently challenging negative thoughts, practicing gratitude, and reframing setbacks, you can begin to break free from the cycle of victim thinking and start living a life of intention and empowerment. In the next section, we'll look at practical steps you can take to reinforce this new mindset. We'll explore how setting realistic goals, seeking support, and practicing self-compassion can help you take actionable steps toward creating a more positive, empowered reality. Stay with me as we continue to explore how to take control of your thinking and, in turn, your life. Now that you've begun shifting your mindset and challenging the negative patterns in your thinking, it's time to take actionable steps toward breaking free from the cycle of victim thinking. Shifting your mindset is important, but it's equally crucial to put your new perspective into practice by taking deliberate actions that align with your goals and values. This section focuses on 3 powerful actions you can take to move from passive victimhood to empowered living: setting realistic goals, seeking support, and embracing self-compassion. Set realistic goals. One of the most empowering actions you can take is to set realistic goals. When you're stuck in victim thinking, it can feel like you have no control over your life or future. This sense of powerlessness often stems from feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of a goal or an obstacle. However, by breaking down larger goals into smaller, more achievable steps, you give yourself a clear path forward, one that is grounded in action and possibility. Start by identifying 1 or 2 meaningful goals you'd like to work toward, whether they are related to your career, relationships, health, or personal development. Once you've identified these goals, break them down into smaller, more manageable tasks. For example, if you want to improve your physical health, instead of aiming for a drastic change, set small, specific goals like exercise for 30 minutes, 3 times a week, or eat a healthy breakfast every morning. This makes the process feel less daunting and more attainable. By accomplishing these smaller steps, you'll gain momentum, and with each success, your confidence and sense of empowerment will grow. Small victories add up, and the more progress you make, the less likely you'll feel like a victim of your circumstances. Seek support. Another key to overcoming victim thinking is seeking support. It's easy to isolate yourself when you're stuck in negative thinking, believing that you're alone in your struggles. However, connecting with others can provide you with a fresh perspective, valuable feedback, and emotional encouragement. Whether it's talking to a friend, seeking guidance from a mentor, or reaching out to a therapist, having a support system can help you challenge the victim mentality and see your situation from a new angle. Sometimes, simply sharing your feelings with someone you trust can alleviate the weight of the burden and allow you to process your thoughts in a more constructive way. Support can also come in the form of group therapy, support groups, or online communities where people share similar experiences. These connections can remind you that you are not alone and that others face similar struggles. Knowing that others have overcome similar challenges can offer both hope and inspiration. Remember, seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's an act of self-care and empowerment. Embrace self-compassion. Self-compassion is perhaps the most important action in breaking free from a victim mentality. It's easy to be harsh on yourself, especially when you're in a negative headspace. You might blame yourself for mistakes or think that you're not good enough. However, treating yourself with kindness and understanding can be transformative. When you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself with thoughts like, "I'm such a failure," Try responding with self-compassion. I made a mistake, but that doesn't define me. I can learn from this and do better next time. By practicing self-compassion, you shift your mindset from one of self-criticism to one of self-acceptance. You acknowledge that you're human and that everyone makes mistakes, but these mistakes don't determine your worth. Incorporating self-compassion into your life also involves recognizing and celebrating your progress. Don't wait for perfection to acknowledge your efforts. Honor your small wins and give yourself credit for the steps you're taking to improve your life. Self-compassion is a key component of breaking free from victim thinking because it reinforces the idea that you are worthy of love, care, and respect regardless of your past mistakes or setbacks. By treating yourself with the same kindness you would show a loved one, you create an environment where growth and healing can flourish. Taking action is the bridge between mindset and change. By setting realistic goals, seeking support, and embracing self-compassion, you can create tangible steps that empower you to move beyond victimhood and into a more intentional, fulfilled life. These actions not only help you build momentum, but also reinforce the shift in your thinking, helping you to break free from the patterns that have kept you stuck. In the next section, we'll explore how to live with intention and cultivate habits that further support your new mindset. Through mindfulness practices, positive affirmations, and self-care, you can create lasting change and live a life that reflects your newfound empowerment. Let's continue to explore the tools that will help you create lasting transformation. Now that you've made strides in shifting your mindset and taking actionable steps to break free from victim thinking, the next key step is to cultivate a lifestyle that supports and reinforces this new way of thinking. Living with intention means aligning your daily actions, thoughts, and habits with your deeper values and goals. It's about creating a life where you actively shape your experiences rather than letting life passively shape you. In this section, we'll explore how mindfulness practices, positive affirmations, and self-care can help you continue your journey toward empowerment and fulfillment. Mindfulness practice. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It allows you to observe your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors from a place of awareness rather than getting lost in them. When you're trapped in a victim mentality, your mind is often overwhelmed with negative thinking, self-criticism, or ruminating on past events. Mindfulness provides a way to step back, observe these thoughts, and choose not to engage with them. Mindfulness helps you recognize when you're falling back into old patterns of thinking. Instead of letting yourself spiral into negativity or self-pity, you can gently guide your focus back to the present moment. This practice teaches you to accept your thoughts and emotions without letting them control you. To incorporate mindfulness into your life, start by dedicating a few minutes each day to sit quietly and focus on your breath. Notice the thoughts that arise without judgment. When negative thoughts or feelings come up, acknowledge them. I notice I'm thinking about something that makes me feel powerless, and then let them go, bringing your attention back to the present moment. Over time, mindfulness will help you develop a greater awareness of your thought patterns and create space between your thoughts and your reactions. This space gives you the power to choose how you respond rather than falling back into old victim-based reactions. Positive affirmations. Positive affirmations are powerful tools for shifting your mindset and counteracting negative thinking. These are short, positive statements that you repeat to yourself, designed to challenge the limiting beliefs that keep you stuck in a victim mentality. When you affirm positive beliefs, you actively reprogram your subconscious mind to align with a more empowering and growth-oriented outlook. For example, if you struggle with feelings of inadequacy, you might use affirmations like, "I am capable of achieving my goals," or "I am worthy of success and happiness." If you find yourself focusing on external blame, try affirmations like, I take responsibility for my actions and choices, or I have the power to change my circumstances. The key to using affirmations effectively is consistency. The more often you repeat these positive statements, the more deeply they become ingrained in your mind. Over time, they will help to replace negative self-talk and limiting beliefs with a new, empowering narrative. It's also helpful to say your affirmations out loud or write them down each day. This physical act of engagement creates a stronger connection between your conscious and subconscious mind, reinforcing the belief in your own power and potential. Self-care, living with intention, also means prioritizing self-care, nurturing your body, mind, and spirit in a way that supports your well-being. Victim thinking often involves neglecting your needs and putting yourself last, believing that your happiness or well-being isn't as important as the demands of others or the challenges in your life. But true empowerment comes when you recognize that taking care of yourself is essential for your growth and success. Self-care can take many forms, depending on what feels most nurturing to you. It might involve physical care, such as regular exercise, getting enough sleep, and eating nutritious foods. It could also mean emotional care, such as setting boundaries with others, seeking therapy or counseling, or simply taking time to relax and recharge. Self-care is about creating space for yourself to heal, grow, and thrive. When you make self-care a priority, you strengthen your ability to face challenges with resilience and maintain a positive mindset. It also helps you build the emotional strength necessary to break free from victim thinking and embrace a life of self-empowerment. Living with intention is a continuous process that involves mindfulness, affirmations, and self-care. These practices not only help you maintain the mindset shift you've worked hard to achieve, but also create a foundation for lasting change. By intentionally cultivating a life that reflects your values, goals, and new mindset, you'll find yourself moving further away from victim thinking and closer to the life you truly desire. In the next section, we'll conclude by revisiting the importance of shifting your thinking and taking action. We'll also summarize the key steps you can take to continue your journey toward living a more empowered, intentional, and fulfilling life. Stay with me as we wrap up and reinforce the tools that will help you create a lasting transformation. In this video, we've explored how the cycle of negative thinking can trap us in a victim mentality and how, through intentional effort, we can break free from this cycle. Shifting your mindset from being a victim of your thoughts to being the creator of your experiences is a powerful transformation. By taking responsibility for your thinking, challenging negative beliefs, and practicing self-compassion, you begin to unlock your true potential. Key takeaways: the power of your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your reality. When you focus on negativity, you reinforce a victim mentality. The brain has a tendency to focus on negative experiences due to the negativity bias. But by consciously choosing to challenge those thoughts, you can start to change your perception of yourself and the world. Identifying victim thinking. Recognizing the signs of victim mentality is the first step. Blaming external factors, feeling powerless, and focusing only on the negative can keep you stuck in a state of helplessness. By becoming aware of these patterns, you can begin to shift your mindset toward personal empowerment, shifting your perspective. Challenging your negative thoughts, practicing gratitude, and reframing setbacks as opportunities for growth can help. You develop a more balanced and positive outlook. It's not about denying challenges, but about viewing them as stepping stones rather than insurmountable obstacles. Taking action. Once your mindset begins to shift, it's time to take action. Set realistic goals, seek support from others, and embrace self-compassion. By taking small, achievable steps, you can start creating the life you want, while self-compassion will help you navigate setbacks without reverting to victim thinking. Living with intention, mindfulness, positive affirmations, and self-care are practices that can help reinforce your new mindset and sustain positive change. By living with intention and prioritizing your well-being, you create a solid foundation for lasting transformation. Moving forward, the journey of breaking free from victim thinking is ongoing, but it is also incredibly rewarding. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to challenge your old patterns. However, each small step you take toward empowerment strengthens your ability to create the life you truly want. Start by integrating the practices we've discussed today into your daily routine. Take moments each day to reflect on your thoughts, affirm your worth, and prioritize self-care. Set small, achievable goals that align with your values and gradually expand them as you gain confidence and momentum. Remember, the key is not perfection, but progress. You don't need to be free of negative thoughts all the time, but you can learn how to respond to them in a way that empowers you rather than keeps you stuck. By taking responsibility for your thinking, practicing gratitude, and making choices that align with your goals, you create a life that reflects your true potential. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of breaking free from victim thinking. You have the power to shape your thoughts, emotions, and actions. The life you desire is within your reach. Take the steps today to begin creating it.